Everybody, this is Christine and I'm coming to you on a Tuesday for Tip Tuesday. So Kelly saved my butt last week. Oh, it snuck up on me and all of a sudden I was leaving for Centerville on Monday morning and I was in the car for 2 hours and I thought, oh no, I never made the Tip Tuesday before I left. And Kelly kind of had it in her head already that I was going to be a little bit tight for time. So she kind of had made the Technique Thursday with the thought of trying to do a dual Tip Tuesday Technique Thursday just to help me a little bit. And I'm like, no, I got it. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have it. So, yeah. So what she did for her Technique Thursday and fit in a little bit about the tip for this card. Let me, oh, wait. Where's her card? It's right here. Let me pull it. So this is what she did last week for Technique Thursday, but she talked about the designer paper and how I was going to follow up this week about cutting designer paper and some tips for cutting it and scoring it and maximizing. And so this was such a pretty card. And when she was designing this card, when she was here I don't remember when it was, last week sometime, but she talked about the wanting to make this card a 4-inch card, and so it would maximize the amount of designer paper, and she just made it a little more narrow, but kept it at the 5.5. And I said, oh, that's cool, because I had it in my head that I was going to talk about how to cut paper. So when I did the holiday catalog launch party class a couple weeks ago, I can't remember, August 15th, what was it? August 13th, 14th, 15th, something like that. Oh man, so many moons ago. No, not that many moons, just a couple of days. When I was in class, I was telling people and showing them how I cut this paper, and they thought, wow, that would be a really good tip to talk about the cutting of the designer paper for these. And then I also pulled in this card from Kelly that she did for Technique Thursday, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago. She did this card maybe like the first week of August. And I wanted to talk about how to cut the paper, especially if you're doing multiples and not just one. It's always good to do cards in pairs or fours. I always think that the best bang for your buck is to make 4 of a card. But if not 4, then 2 is good too. And so when I design these cards, I specifically use a large amount of DSP, designer series paper, because this is free paper. It's sale-a-bration paper. You can get the penguin paper, the peaceful prints paper, or the beautifully penned paper free with, each pack is free with a $50 purchase. And so I thought, wow, I'm going to use up lots of designer paper so you guys can really get a feel for it. So in the class, people talked about wanting to have this as a Tip Tuesday, so that's why I thought I'd follow up with it. So this paper right here is what I would use for the penguin. I'm going to use the stripe one to show you how I would do the card Kelly made, the peaceful prints for this one, and then the beautifully penned for this one. And I want to show you how I would cut it and then score it, or vice versa, just to make it efficient. So we'll start with this one, the penguin card. So this penguin card, the designer paper is 4 inches wide. So when you do 4 inches wide, you get 1, 2, 3. You get 3 pieces from this one designer paper. So you get 3 cards. Now, when you look at this, there's a little pocket here to put things. Okay, so it's scored at 5, 6, and 7, and it's cut at 4 and 4. So some people might have the mindset that they would cut at 4 and cut at 4, and then they'd score their paper, and they'd score their paper. So they would be doing it 3 times. I like to be efficient when I'm scoring. So what I would do, honestly, is I would do my scoring on the whole sheet, knowing that I want to use 3 columns versus just 1. Now, if you only do want to make 1 card, then I would highly suggest cutting it at 4 inches and then just scoring the piece you need. But let's say you're making Christmas cards and you do know that you're going to be making 3 or more, and you're going to use the whole sheet. So in that case, I would do all my scoring on the whole sheet. You have to make sure that you pay attention to the pattern. It's so important that when you're cutting paper that you cut it right, because you could think that you need to score it this way and then cutting it this way, but then when you open, all your critters are going to be going the wrong way. So paying attention to your orientation of your pattern is super important. And luckily, they put the trees with the same orientation as the people, or I should say the critters. So I want to make sure that I score this way, because if you put your card like this, you can see that my score lines are going to be going this way. So I had said that they're scored at 5, 6, and 7. So I'm going to do my scoring first on this card. So I'm going to score at 5, 6, and 7. So I've, in essence, scored all 3 at the same time instead of doing them all individually. So then what I do is I come to my cutter and you pull the trimmer, and you're going to want to cut now your columns at 4 inches. And so you could do it 2 ways. You could pull out your arm, or if you have your guillotine cutter, however you want to do it, you could start at 8. So me being the way I am, I like to work this way instead of moving the paper more. So when I started at 8, so I cut at 8, that means, so 8 means I'm going to get 4, because 12 minus 8 is 4. So I'm going to cut it here at 4, and then all I have to do is slide my paper versus picking it up and putting it back at 4. I can just slide it right to 4. And now when I cut it at 4, 8 minus 4 is 4. And I try to use my blade up and down. If you consistently cut your blade going down, you're always going to dull the one side. But if you're using your blade both ways, then you will keep it more even. Okay, so now we have our 3 mats and our orientation is proper. And so now when you fold this and then you fold this back and fold this, you in essence have you have the people going the right way, but now I just realized that the trees are the wrong way. So that is, oh, you know why? Because on this pattern, it's stripes. And stripes don't have an orientation. The other one was polka dots. They didn't have an orientation. The other card I did was snowflakes. No orientation. Well, here's the deal. With this card, what I would do now is I would leave a very, very little border of this green. I might go something, just pretend this is a solid color, but I just leave it so that all you see is a little green and you can't really make out that they're trees, okay? The reason I'm telling you that is because I'm going to be giving away the paper that I cut for this Tip Tuesday to some lucky winners. So I've got this set right here, and what you would do when you get this is, so they're going to come folded already because I have to fit them in an envelope for you. But when you use this, you're going to use this to design a card. You'd put a little mat on the back, and then you would cover up so that you don't notice that they're trees. So this is going to be a prize for somebody, is this set right here for the trees. So that is something to consider when, like, this inside is basically more important to me that the inside is right, because you can definitely see that the animals have an orientation. This outside, you can definitely work with that, okay? So that is how I would cut for that one. And that's basically what I did, is I scored all the papers and then I cut them all down. So that was how I did the cutting for the penguin card. So for the beautifully penned card that's here, now this is a card that opens up like this, and it's scored, ha ha ha, there's washi tape in there that was holding my inside in. So it's scored at 2, 4, 8, and 10. So what I would do for that, and you're only going to get 2 because this is 5 1/4 by the 12. So how I would do this and think this through in my head is my sheet of paper is like this. This side really has no orientation, but this side does. So I'm going to want to be cutting my paper so that my lines are going left, right. If you like an up and down look, you could do that too. But no, you're only going to get 1, 2 out of this. So knowing that 5 1/4 and 5 1/4 equals 10 1/2, I don't need 1.5 inches. of this paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to cut off 1.5 inches. And instead of trying to do the 1.5 inches on this side, what I might do, an option is, because now I've got my paper really lined up nice and secure across the whole length, I'm going to do 12 minus 1.5 is actually 10.5. Now, if you're a math is hard kind of person, you just could cut off 1.5 and that's fine. But what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make sure I got it the right orientation. So why I'm cutting this off first is because I can use this strip of paper for something else, and there's no score lines in it. So that could be used for the inside, where if I would have scored the whole sheet in this case, I'd have some score lines on this that I don't necessarily want. Okay, so now that I have it, you gotta flip it back this way, because now you have 5 1/4 this way and 5 1/4 this way. So now you can do your scoring. So this tool right here can also be used for scoring. There is a scoring blade here. So we talked about it needs to be scored at 10 inches. So you could do 10 inches, which is, so it's 2 inches from the end here. So 10 inches. So this works if you have this tool. You're gonna do 10 inches and then 8 inches, okay? And then we talked about 2 and 4. So we're gonna do 4, right like that. Make sure you're nice and straight. So that's 4, and then we're gonna do 2. So I'm basically scoring both of my mats at the same time. That's what my tip is. Like, okay, so you've got your scoring done. Now what you do is you flip it back this way, and at 5 1/4 is where you're gonna cut it. Now get your scoring one out of the way, and now at 5 1/4, you've got your mat. And what happens is, now to make this card, if you watched the video that I did on August 13th, we talked about having to cut this edge off here. So you're down 2.5 inches, and you just cut from the score line to the 2.5 mark, and that takes the corner off. And then what happens is you fold this like this, and that folds back. Or if you want to do it the other way, you can do it this way. And then once you cut that corner off, you see the line like that. So what happens is when you score it, it's 2, 4, 8, and 11. You just want these guys to come as close to the middle as you can. So I kind of finagle them until they kind of meet in the middle nicely. Okay? All right, so that is gonna be another person's prize. So I'm gonna send these off in the mail. And you guys are wondering, how do you get in on the prize, right? So you gotta comment, you gotta say hi, you gotta say that you shared the video, you gotta do something. So as long as we can see that you wrote something in the comment of this video, then your name will go in for a drawing. And we'll do that drawing sometime next week. So this will be a prize for somebody as well. Some mats here, or some bases for you to use. So what we did then on this card is create a little belly band so that it would hold the card shut. Get in there, little guy. Okay, so that's that card. You'll need to add whatever decorations you want, a belly band, and put an inside in. That would be good. Okay, so that's how I would recommend doing the cutting for that if you want to do multiples. So this guy right here, the deer card. Oh dear. So he's along the same lines. So it opens like that, and you have 12 inches this way and 5 1/4 this way. So knowing that, you only get 2 mats like this out of a 12 by 12 sheet. And this is super important for the orientation. You want your deer to be going horizontal. You don't want them going up and down. So we know that our mat's gonna go this way, and we're gonna get 5 1/4 and 5 1/4. So we're gonna cut off 1.5 inches. So if you're better at doing 1.5 inches, just do 1.5 inches and be done. So, oh, and you just wanna make sure you don't wiggle with it when you're in there. So hold that down, you're cutting off 1.5 inches, and now here's another piece of paper. You didn't score it, you didn't do anything to it, you can use this for something else, okay? So going back to the scoring, this one is scored at 1 inch, 4, and 8. So you're gonna do the scoring for both of these mats at the same time. And when you're cutting for this card and working on this card, you have to figure out, so this is a different designer paper. So you got to ask yourself, what do you want to see on the inside? And whatever you see up is what you will see on the inside. So knowing that, you would score here at 8, here at 4, and at 1 inch. So if you want to see the deer on the inside, you would score it this way, starting. And if you want to see the plaid in the inside and only see a little bit of deer on that side, then you would score it 1, 4, and 8. So what does that mean? You need to come over here to 1 inch. Make sure you got plenty of room to keep your paper straight. So you want to do at 1 inch here. Okay, and make sure you use the scoring one. So 1 inch, 4 inches, and then 8 inches. Okay, so then now you've just scored both of them at the same time, which is my main tip for today. And you put it back at 5 1/4. Now you're gonna cut it in half and you've got your 2 mats scored. So let's look at this. So you're gonna score it this way, fold it this way, and then it folds back. Now you have that little 1 inch here, and now you see the deer on that side. Now, had you scored it this way, so let's pretend your deer are facing the right way, then your score on this side, then your deer would have been on the inside. But because we scored it at the 1 inch on this side, your deer aren't going to be on the inside. Your deer are going to be on, I would call that the outside. Okay? So that's how I would get 2 mats easily for this. So again, that's why it's so awesome if you make more than 1 card, because here you've got 2 mats ready to go. All you need to do is add a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 mat on the back and decorate the front of your card however you want to. So these will go to somebody. Now the last one, last but certainly not least, is this card. And so you guys, Kelly did this for a Technique Thursday a few weeks ago. And I've decided that this is going to be a card for the sale-a-bration Hoorah class, or something very similar to this. Very, very similar. So how did she do this? So you're 5 1/4. So here the stripes don't matter, but if you look behind, you want these guys to be right. So let's flip it this way. And we know we want to cut 1.5 inches off the top because we'll have 5 1/4 and 5 1/4. So let's cut off 1.5 inches. So 12 minus 1.5 is 10.5. So we're going to cut that off. Again, you could use this for something else. And now it's scored at 2, 4, 8, and 10, just like that other card was. So we have here 8. Well, let's do 10 first. So we're going to do 10 and work our way back. Make sure you have the scoring one. So you're going to do, well, let me just show you. So I've done this a couple times. I don't use this apparatus for scoring very much. I will be 110% honest with you. I absolutely love this scoring buddy right here. I love it because all I have to do is wedge my paper up in the corner and it tells me my numbers and I can go 10, 8, 4, 2. I like that. It just seems a lot more fast and efficient for me for scoring. So now we've got this scored. You can bring in your cutter and we're going to cut it at 5 1/4, which is right there. And then she's got this on a white mat that is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So this one is not going to be a prize because this one is going to be used for my samples that I use for class. So I'm going to take this upstairs and I'm going to go to town designing this card. Basically, I'm casing Kelly's card for class. I loved it. It was so pretty. And I didn't use this paper yet for a class, and so I have enough to do if I have plenty of people that sign up for this class. So now, the main thing I do when I want these to meet in the middle. So I'm going to MacGyver them until they kind of kiss, those scores kiss right in the middle. Okay, and then voila. And you just made sure that you cut it so that your critters are the right way. And there you go. So I hope, I mean, that was, sometimes people have a hard time wrapping their heads around cutting paper and scoring paper and doing it efficiently. The one thing that if you can master is doing multiples, you become more efficient, especially if you do make more than one card. I know that sometimes there are people out there that make one card and that's the only card that they ever make and then it's done. This is just a way to be a little bit efficient if you do want to make more than one of a type of card. So just something to think about, especially too if you guys, any of you do swapping, where you make multiples of the same card because of swapping purposes. You will be a lot more happy with yourself if you save a little time figuring out how to score and then cut, or cut, score, and then cut again. So what did I talk about? My tip Tuesday was just being efficient with your scoring and your cutting and thinking ahead. And sometimes the best piece of advice I could give you is using cheap copy paper first so that you can mess that up without cutting into your designer paper. I have scraps of paper upstairs where I create that is copy paper, like stuff that I didn't need for like class schedules or advertise stuff that I don't need. And that's what I will cut up and mock up first before I go straight into my pretty paper. So we talked about these sample, these papers that I just cut here. So this one, and that one. I will be picking 3 winners to receive these, and I will pop them in the mail to you after we pick out who the winners are. But just know that these little guys will be a prize because I already did this class and I don't need more of these, but I wanted to show you how to cut paper apart like this. So might as well give it away, right? All right, you guys. I appreciate you watching my Tip Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed it and got a little aha out of it. Lots of sunshine and love and hugs and happiness to you. You can watch Kelly for Technique Thursday on Thursday, and I will see you live on Wednesday for ink, paper, scissors with the peach class. Just know that I do have 5 sets left. If anybody thinks they missed out on the peaches aren't for free, but you can still get the peach class if you want it. It was $25 for porch pickup, $30 if mailed, and you might not get it in time for class, but you would still get it. So reach out to me if you're interested. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Love ya. Bye.